Recently, the headlines coming out of the Middle East have taken a turn that feels fundamentally different from the regional skirmishes of the past. For weeks, we've watched tensions simmer, but we are no longer just looking at a regional conflict on a map. We are looking at a situation that has moved past the point of logical negotiation and into the realm of an emotional vendetta. The question everyone is asking is, how long will this last? To understand the answer, we have to look at the why. We have to look at the logic and the lack of it. We have to look at the motivations of the United States and the resilience of Iran. But most importantly, we have to understand the profound shift in the Iranian psyche following the events of late February. Today, I want to pull back the curtain on what is actually happening on the ground. Information I've gathered from sources with deep personal ties to the region. We're going to discuss why this has moved beyond a political dispute, why the U.S. may have severely miscalculated Iranian internal unity, and ultimately, how this conflict is poised to hit our wallets in a way few saw coming. This insight comes directly from my sources, colleagues who travel to the Middle East frequently for work and maintain close ties with friends there. The consensus is this: the Iranian people have passed the point where rational compromise is possible. To use an analogy, we often see news reports about a parent who takes the law into their own hands to punish someone who harmed their child. In those moments, few people say, they should have just waited for the legal system. Most of us feel a deep, visceral sympathy, thinking, I might have done the same. This is the current psyche of the Iranian people. Even before the U.S. bombings in late February, families were already suffering. But the tipping point came on February 28th, when a triple-tap missile strike hit the Shajareh Tayyeba girls' school in Minab. When the Tehran Times published the faces and names of these children on its front page under the headline, Trump, look into the eyes of the victims, it became personal for the entire nation. They didn't just lose students, they lost their children. What fuels this anger further is a profound sense of betrayal. Iran claims it was actively engaging in diplomatic negotiations until the very last moment. However, the U.S. unilaterally walked away from those talks and proceeded with the bombings. Since this isn't the first time a diplomatic path has been abandoned, Iran no longer views the U.S. as a credible partner. The situation has shifted from a strategic dispute to an emotional vendetta. Without significant and genuine concessions, the Iranian public is unlikely to be fooled again. There are suggestions that the U.S. misjudged Iran's internal sentiment, perhaps encouraged by leadership in Israel and Saudi Arabia. While Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Israel are major powers, Iran is a formidable force that cannot be overlooked. Its influence extends far beyond its borders through its technical capability and military reach. Maps often distort Iran's size. Its landmass is actually larger than Germany, France, and the United Kingdom combined. With a population of 93 million, it boasts a highly educated workforce. In fact, Iran has historically been a global leader in producing engineering talent. Recently, with regional proxies weakened, some leadership may view this as the final chance to uproot Iranian influence, potentially encouraging the U.S. to take aggressive action. However, we must be careful not to misinterpret internal dissent. You might see footage of Iranian women casting off their hijabs and assume they are welcoming Western-style liberation. My sources suggest a different reality. While Iranians may disagree on their future government, they are united on one front. They will decide their own future. But first, the U.S. must leave. It is a dangerous mistake to assume that pro-democracy sentiment equates to pro-American sentiment during a time of war. If this war drags on, the uncertainty will trigger a massive global crisis, beginning with the energy fertilizer link. Natural gas is essential for producing ammonia, the key ingredient for nitrogen fertilizer. We are currently in the critical April window for planting crops in the Northern Hemisphere. If gas prices spike now, farmers may find it too expensive to plant. Agriculture is seasonal. You cannot just wait 2 months for prices to drop. If the planting window is missed, we face global food shortages and skyrocketing prices for meat and staples. This brings us to the broader impact on the markets. Rising oil prices and the resulting inflation will force central banks to freeze or even raise interest rates. This is devastating for future vision sectors like AI and robotics. These industries rely on borrowed capital to scale before they become profitable. If interest rates rise instead of falling as expected this year, the current stock market rally could be cut short very abruptly. As we speak, headlines are flashing a glimmer of hope. A 2-week ceasefire has just been announced. To the casual observer, this looks like the finish line, a return to logic. But as architects of our own capital, we have to look deeper. A 14-day pause does not reset the Iranian psyche, and more importantly, it does not stop the clock on the Northern Hemisphere's planting window. Every hour this conflict remains unresolved, even during a ceasefire, is an hour that natural gas remains volatile and fertilizer remains stuck in transit. We are watching a strategic pause, not a structural solution. If you use this 2-week window to lower your guard, you're missing the point. The hidden math of inflation and interest rates is still trending toward a collision. In a war of emotional vendettas, a ceasefire isn't peace. It's just a chance for both sides to reload. In times of such high uncertainty, if anyone claims to know exactly what happens next, ask them for their blueprint. The only viable strategy right now isn't guessing, it's scenario planning. We have to prepare for the outcomes we can't see coming and maintain a versatile strategy that outlasts the headlines. Most importantly, ensure your hedge is in place to reduce that tail risk. Stay disciplined, keep building, and I'll see you in the next briefing.